All right, guys, so I want you to turn into your notes to page 18 in your notes today. So this morning for Bell Ringer, we talked a lot about how to square a number and how to make sure that you find the area of a number by base times height. In the previous video, we also talked about area and finding some perfect squares. So here they say that, hey, we have an area of a square. So I'm going to draw a square here. And my area is 1. So they want to know, well, hey, what is the length of a side? Well, I know for something to have an area, I am multiplying my length times my width or my base times my height. So that means that my area is 1, a side would just be 1. Okay, so now what if I were to tell you that length times width equals 9 and we have a square? Well, since we know a square has equal sides, what two numbers would I multiply together to get 9 if all sides are the same? Well, 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, now they say, well, what if we had a square and all sides were 5? What would my area be? Well, 5 times 5, 25. How would I find the area of something though, okay, if I have an area of 2? What two numbers can I multiply together to get 2? So if we know that I have a square and we are trying to find the area of it and the area is 2, what we're actually going to do is do square root 2. So what's that saying is, hey, this is the length is square root 2 and my width is also square root 2. So when I multiply two square roots together, I just get the 2. Okay, same thing here with 5. Well, square root of 5 times square root of 5 will give me 5. Okay, well, looking at that, if I highlight these, how are these two in yellow different from this one in yellow down here, the square root of 13? Well, what number should I put in this box? Are you saying 13? That's what I'm thinking too. Okay, and the reason why is because the square root of 13 times the square root of 13 is just 13. Okay, let's look at this one. What about the square root of 5? Well, the square root of 5 is just going to be 5. Okay, what about square root 10? Or sorry, 100. What about the square root of 100? Okay, well, think about back up here. What did we do with these? Well, we were asking ourselves, okay, what are two numbers that will multiply together to give me 9? What are two numbers that will multiply together that are the same that'll give me 25? What are two numbers that are the same number that will multiply together to give me 100? Well, 10 times 10 is 100. 10 squared is 100. Okay, well, what about if one side of my square is 20? What's the other side of my square going to be? Well, it'll be 20. So what's 20 times 20? Well, let's do the math. 20 times 20. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 0 is 0. Okay, you get another 0 as a placeholder, another 0 and a 4. So you're going to get 400. So main ideas from this, guys, is the whole idea is base times height is equal to your area, okay? The idea is you need to know a square has equal sides, and so we're going to be dealing with something called squares today. So now I want you guys to go ahead and look over here with me on the right, okay? So if I have a square, and they're saying that this side length right here is 11, we know this side would have to be 11. What would my area be? Well, 11 times 11 is 11, 0, 1, 1. If you add them together, guys, you get 121, 121. Well, you always need to ask yourself, hey, what are they measuring this in? Right now they're measuring it in centimeters. Okay, then that means 121 centimeters squared. Okay, here, B, they tell me my area. They tell me length times width equals 16 meters squared. We have to figure out the side. So how much is this side? If I have multiplied two sides together that are the same length, what are two numbers that are the same number that I multiply together to get 16? Well, I know 4 times 4 is 16. So that must mean that one side is 4 meters long. All right, go ahead and copy that down for me. So what I want you to write down somewhere in your notes is this idea of perfect squares. A perfect square is created, okay, when I have a number squared. So 1 squared. Well, what's 1 times 1? Well, it's 1. 2 squared. 2 times 2? Well, that's going to give me 4. 3 squared. 3 times 3? Well, that's 9. 4 squared? Well, that's 4 times 4. 4 squared is 16. 5 squared? Well, that's 5 times 5. It's 25. What about 6 squared? Well, that's 6 times 6. Okay, go ahead and do 7 squared, 8 squared, 9 squared, 10 squared, 11 squared, 12 squared on your own. Pause the video, see what you get, and check your answers. I know 7 squared is 7 times 7, which is 49. 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64. 9 squared is 9 times 9, which is 81. 10 squared is 10 times 10, which is 100. 11 squared is 11 times 11, which is 121. 12 squared is 12 times 12, which should give you 144. So go ahead and write down perfect squares. And what I would like for you to do is to go ahead at this point and fill out the